Like I said in the last episode, we already built half of the deck with these joists going across the metal joist on the trailer frame. So we're just finishing up the side here. This overhang we're building using the treated wood in case it gets splashed with water or water leaks through the siding or whatever have you. We don't want that decking to rust because that's supporting the building. And now we'll just kind of show you walking around so far what we have done, and especially these carriage bolt that we're pushing it through the body, the metal body of the trailer. And now we're gonna start building the other side of the deck with the joists again. And I think I already mentioned these joists are like not exactly 2x4, a little less than 2x4, so 2 and 3/4 or something. And we're bolting them down, or rather, we're using the lug bolt from underneath. So each of these joist is securely fastened to the metal joist that run across these wood joists. Hey guys, so we're kind of at a point where we can talk about what we've done so far. You'll see a time-lapse video of all the stuff we've been kind of working on, but essentially what we have done is like we mentioned last time, we have a 2x6 ripped in half. We are using those as a rafter that will fit this insulation. The rafter we ran are about 15 to 16 inch to the centers. Some of them are 15, some of them are 16. I had to work with, like I said, whatever the bolt I had underneath the trailer. You kind of seen this perimeter rafter we talked about. It's bolted on instead of like a lug bolted. We use a carriage bolt, and notice we have it loose right now. Well, like this one tighten up, but what we plan on doing is we take this out. When we put another layer of plywood and a framing, we're gonna try to feed everything through this carriage bolt. Okay, so as you can see, we have outside rafters. We did a little bit of blockings here because there aren't very many support on this kind of a last rafter. If you can see, there's only 2 support between a span of about 8 feet. So we put a couple of blocking here, and same thing we did over here. We did blockings on the side again. And the last thing I want to talk about on this deck so far is this part. So behind the wheel wells, we had there was a little gap, so we just doubled up or tripled up this wood. These two are treated wood, so like, you know, if the water splashes and stuff like that, it won't rot easily. And when we're done with the framing, we're gonna put some sort of flashing to protect the mud and stuff like that. But this is how we have the wheel well so far. And the rafters and insulation is all done. So the next we're gonna do, one thing, when you are putting this rafter, try to do as square as you can. We kind of eyeballed it, and because my rafters are a little bit smaller than my deck is gonna be, which is a plywood deck. So I'm gonna focus squaring up the deck when I put the plywood. What I did make sure, however, is this front rafter or back of the trailer rafter and the front, they're exactly parallel, right? So I'm gonna run my plywood boards lining up to this edge, and they're all 3/4 tongue and groove plywood, so they're gonna lock right in place, and we'll have a pretty square deck. That's the hope, at least. But if you know, I honestly thought that these corner supports were square, so I thought the frame's gonna come out square, but it's a little bit out of square, not much, 1/4 of an inch on a diagonal. The way you want to square large structures like this is you measure from this diagonal angle to that diagonal, and same thing across these two, and that distance has to match. And since you have wheel well, you can also do the same thing from this corner across to that and that across to here. So if you match those diagonal distance on all these two rectangle or two square looking thing on each side of the wheel well and the big rectangle across the whole frame body, it should square up the frame. But like I said, that's a lot of work to do, but not much to talk about. As you notice, we put this the vinyl tarp. We nailed it with this roofing tarp or roofing felt nails. So the siding's gonna, the plywood, the sheathing's gonna cover this, and on top of that we'll have siding. So don't worry about this kind of little gap here. All you wanna, the nails are for is to keep the tarp tight under here, so the weight of the insulation doesn't sag it all the way back. And that's not much. The only weight this tarp is carrying is just the insulation. So it's not gonna be a big deal, but you know, keep it tight as you can. And that's all. Next step's gonna be to put the plywood deck, 3/4 of an inch tongue and groove plywood. So we'll come back with that. Alright, so we're gonna start putting the plywood deck now on top of these joists. The very first draft plywood we are putting down, we're squaring it exactly. We are marking the holes that we need to drill those pass those carriage bolt through. So, and before we put the deck, the plywood deck on it, we're also using construction glue on the joist, so that way when you walk around the floor it won't creak on you. So we put the groove side on the other side, or sorry, the tongue side on the end of the trailer, and we ripped it before we put it on, so it doesn't have the tongue sticking out. And now we're nailing everything down onto the joist, using the guide to find the center. And now the next one we're gonna put in is gonna fit right in that the groove. The tongue will fit in the groove. And now we're just gonna make sure how much we need to cut down for this wheel wells. So we're marking all the spacings that we need to make the cuts for, and we're gonna cut a little notch out of each of this sheet to account for the wheel well spacing opening, sorry. And then that's pretty much it. Now again, same drill, we're gonna put the construction glue everywhere, and then we lock it in place, line up, make sure everything lines up, and then we finally nail it down. So I think we're just gonna finish the deck the next few seconds, and that would be end of the deck. We're using the galvanized nail, ring shank nails to lock the plywood. That way the it's going to be securely fastened and won't come loose.